So hey everybody, this is me Raman Karthik. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, please go and subscribe and don't forget to click on that bell icon to get more updates. So in this video, we are going to see about 10 interesting facts about Sherlock Holmes that you may be not aware of. So let's start. As we know, many of the characters come and go, but Sherlock Holmes is very famous for longer time, and many movies were adapted, many books were written on this character, and many people got inspired and many people think whenever they search, they think as if they are Sherlock Holmes, and many movies were made. My favorite is which Robert Downey Jr. acted. That's my favorite. Comment me down below which is your favorite. So we are going to see about 10 facts that's related to Sherlock Holmes. So let's start. And the first one is, why the name Sherlock Holmes? What was he supposed to be called? Arthur Conan Doyle's A Study in Scarlet, the first novel featuring Sherlock Holmes, was published in 1887. However, we learn from the author's first notes that the name of the detective was nevertheless going to be Sherlock Holmes. For those early notes of the novel dating back to 1886, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle had considered Sherringford Hope and Sherringford Hope as his detective's name. However, he decided to go with Sherlock Holmes only at the last moment. Why he changed though? Because, well, one of Doyle's favorite sports throughout his lifetime was cricket, and he wanted to acknowledge his fact through his character. Sherrington or Sherringford didn't give him the satisfaction of the cricket he loved. Hence, he named his detective Sherlock Holmes. The Sherlock Holmes comes from a unification of two of his favorite players, that is Mordecai Sherwin and Frank Shacklock. In a way, he pays a tribute to those players. His favorite sports through his detective naming was Sherlock. Surprisingly, though, Sherlock or Doyle doesn't speak about cricket in the entire series. And the next fact is, Sherlock Holmes was modeled on a doctor. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's fiction detective, Sherlock Holmes, was modeled after Dr. Joseph Bell, one of Conan Doyle's medical school professors. Born in Scotland in 1859, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle studied medical medicine in University of Edinburgh and moved on to work as a physician in England while writing fiction in his spare time. He eventually published four novels and 56 short stories, starring London based Shamus, known for his excellent observation and problem solving skills. Those skills were in part based on those of Dr. Joseph Bell. And the next fact is Sherlock's early life and his life's calling. Though very little is known of Sherlock Holmes' early life or his family background, we do know that he is the grandnephew of Emily Jean Horace, a French artist. A rough estimate of Sherlock's year of birth can be calculated from the story. His last bow, set in August 1914, the story describes him as 60 years old. That puts his year of birth to 1854. Sherlock Holmes has an older brother, Mycroft, whom he considered to be more intelligent than himself. In the Adventure of Greek Interpreter, Sherlock refers to Mycroft as being 7 years his senior. That puts Mycroft's birth year as 1847, assuming Sherlock's year of birth to be 1854. It is also known that Sherlock attended at least one of his country's leading universities, Oxford and Cambridge. Some believe that he was an alumnus of both universities. His study of science at the university helped Sherlock apply a process of deductive uh, reasoning in his work, which took him great success. Sherlock Holmes found his life's calling at the age of 20, just after finishing his study. He began his glorious career as the world's first consulting detective. Taking his first case in that year, his companion and future friend, Dr. John Watson, describes his case in his Chronicles of Holmes endeavors, the adventure of Gloria Scott. So the next fact is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle killed Sherlock Holmes for his interest in history. We all know that Sherlock Holmes dies in a story titled Adventure of Final Problem after plunging off a cliff while battling the evil Professor Moriarty. But why did he have to die? Surely there could have been many reasons in which Sherlock could have devised a plan to kill Moriarty and save himself. Well, the truth is, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle got sick of his own creation. Conan wanted to write his historical fiction. However, he felt that Sherlock Holmes was taking up way too much of his time. He just couldn't concentrate on other stories. A break would have perhaps provided the time Conan Doyle needed to focus on other ideas. But rather than take a break from Sherlock Holmes, Conan Doyle decided that Holmes had to die. So, in the story titled Adventure of Final Problem, published in 1893, Holmes dies after falling from the cliff. The end. Now he could focus with his ease on his dream projects. And the next is the public resurrected Sherlock from his grave. Things never work as per plan, do they? The Reading Society of Victorian England fumed over the death of Sherlock Holmes. People wrote angry letters. Thousands of people cancelled their subscription to the Strand, the magazine where Sherlock Holmes stories were published. They demanded to bring back their hero. However, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle got away with his creation for almost a decade. Yet, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle took a ghostly hound story to bring the renowned detective back. In 1901, Sherlock Holmes reappeared in The Hound of Baskervilles as Doyle needed a strong central character for his paranormal novel. He reintroduced Sherlock instead of inventing a new one. However, Conan Doyle made it clear that Holmes was not alive, that the story took place before incidents of Reichenbach Falls. But a surprise in the store for Conan Doyle, the public's response to The Hound of Baskervilles was phenomenal, since The Hound of Baskervilles was also first published in The Stand. The magazine circulation rose by 30,000 overnight. This response forced Sir Arthur Conan Doyle to rethink his priority. The Stand too requested him to bring Sherlock back. Following this, Holmes was truly brought back to life in the adventure of Empty House. At the beginning of the story, Watson is alone. His wife is dead and believes Holmes to be dead as well. However, Watson learns Holmes' death was just a ploy to hide from Moriarty's henchman, and thus Sherlock calmly re enters the world of crime. And the next fact is the Sherlock Museum is not at 22 1B Baker Street. After all, according to the books of Sherlock Holmes, 22 1B Baker Street is where Sherlock resided. Till now, there are many people, both readers and non readers community, who believe that Sherlock lives in that address. In fact, the famous Sherlock Holmes Museum is now located at the same address. Strangely, the museum is located between 237 and 241 Baker Street. Why Sir Arthur Conan Doyle created such a confusion? Why use an existing address instead of fictional one? So the truth is, what when the Holmes story were published. Address in Baker Street did not go as high as 221. Later in 1932, Baker Street was extended. The Abbey National Building Society moved into premises at 219 and 229 Baker Street. For many years, people have been sending letters for the fictional detective to 221 Baker Street. And Abbey National employed a full-time secretary to respond to mails addressed to Sherlock Holmes. Despite being situated elsewhere on the same block, a blue plaque signifying 221 B Baker Street was installed at the Sherlock Holmes Museum in 1990. A 15-year dispute went on between Abbey National and the Holmes Museum for the right to receive mail addressed to 221 Baker Street. However, the closure of Abbey House in the 2005 ownership of the address by the Holmes Museum has not been challenged and remains owned by Sherlock Holmes Museum. And the next fact is Sherlock Holmes is the highest number of on-screen portrayed character, and also he is not. Sherlock is the character that has been portrayed on screen the highest number of times. Well, there is a catch to it, but that's for later. In the year 2012, the Book of World Records bestowed Sherlock a world record for the most portrayed literary human character in film and TV. As per the record in 2012, he has been portrayed on screen by more than 75 artists for over 254 times. Um, of course, the figure would now be close to 300 or even higher. However, there is no official tracking of the same. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock is followed by Shakespeare's Hamlet, who has been portrayed over 50 times in the screen. Sherlock wins by a very large margin. However, let us return to the catch now. Though Sherlock is the most portrayed human literary character on screen, he is not most portrayed literary character on screen. The record goes to Dracula, who was of 2012 had more than 270 portrayals on the screen, and there is a chance that Sherlock might have actually have overtaken. So as we said, as I said, Dracula owns the highest appearance. I don't know now; it might be increased. So the next is Sherlock Holmes beats Albert Einstein by a large margin. John Radford initiated his analysis to find the IQ of Sherlock Holmes and John Watson. He published the results of his research in the Intelligence of Sherlock Holmes and other three pipe problems, psychological studies of the great detective, and the companion Dr. John H. Watson. In his analysis, Radford tears down the psychological intelligence of both, since both were believed to have a higher IQ than a normal person, which is 100. Einstein's IQ was assessed at 160. The modern world acknowledges that he was a genius. In his analysis, Radford measured Holmes' IQ as 190, which places him much higher than Albert Einstein. Also, Watson's IQ is estimated around 120 or 130, which is still higher than that of a normal person. Though there have been further studies on Sherlock that tend to lower his intelligence rating, he still remains one of the most intelligent character ever penned. And the next is Sherlock Holmes, the only fictional character with honorary fellowship. The Sherlock Holmes is not the first fictional character to receive an honorary fellowship, but also remains the only one to have ever received it. The Royal Society of Chemistry bestowed an extraordinary honorary fellowship upon Sherlock Holmes, the first detective to utilize chemical science as a means of detection in the year 2002. The honor marks the centenary of Holmes' most famous case, The Hound of the Baskervilles, as well as the centenary of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's knighthood. Holmes fictionally began a custom that is now part of everyday patrolling throughout the world, in which science and analytical thinking are allied to battle evil. Since then, countless people worldwide have believed and believe today that Holmes truly existed wandering through Baker's Street. And the next is the mystery of John Watson's bullpup. The Sherlock Holmes and John Watson's first meet each other in 1887 novel, A Study in Scarlet. In that novel, Watson is introduced to us as an ex-military soldier. His military career ended due to an injury, and he found himself penniless and homeless back in Britain. And he is described as owning a bullpup. Curiously, it is the only mention ever made of the dog across the 60 stories Sir Arthur Conan Doyle published about the duo. The fate of the poor pup has remained unknown and has even intrigued many home scholars ever since. Many theories have been put forth. One of them suggests that dog was referred to in metaphorical terms, serving as an attribute of the low spirits Watson endured after the military career ended all of a sudden. His bullpup then might be perceived rather than the black dogs of depression. The tormented Winston Churchill, however, despite many theories, bullpup will forever remain an unsolved mystery. So that's it. There comes to the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed knowing about these facts about Sherlock Holmes. If you're further interested in knowing more fun facts about Sherlock Holmes or any other videos, based on your request, there will be some other parts. If possible, I will post something else on topic. So thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.